Talk about Roy Bhaskar's critical realism theory, and I've got my special guest who's going to tell you how we're going to do this.
Hi, so today we will do going through the ontologies that Bhaskar uses. So David's going to talk about the empirical ontology, and then I'll discuss the actual ontology, and then David will go through the realist ontology for us.
Good. So let's start here with empirical realism. Commits what Bhaskar calls the epistemic fallacy of confusing sense-making, right, ways of knowing with the ontology, reducing it to ontology. The famous example is the elephant, and people are touching different parts of the elephant, and the one that touches the tail thinks it's a rope. The one that touches the body, this is Sparkles. Hello, Sparkles. Say hello. Thinks that it's a wall, and the one that's touching the trunk here thinks it's a snake, and the one touching the tusks thinks it's a spear, and the one, I got Honey in here helping me, and the one that thinks they're touching a tree, they're actually touching a leg of the elephant. So they're each touching different things, and none of them understands the elephant. So that's the epistemic fallacy. And for Bhaskar, Hegel, dialectic suffered from this epistemic fallacy. So we go over here, and now Secret Guest is going to tell you about the actual and take you on a little tour.
So now we're going to go through the actual ontology for Bhaskar, and this consists of 4 planars. So the first one is human material interaction. So this is our transactions with nature. So here you see we're on a ranch, there's solar power, there's the house itself, there's stables over here, and then in the distance you can see the mountains. So here you can see things like putting up fences to keep certain nature in and certain nature out, and how we've used nature to build all of these things that we have. The second is human-human interaction. So as we go over here, you can see a fire pit that's meant for socializing, and you can see David interacting with his dog, with a human-dog interaction. But you might gather around the fire and socialize with a friend, and that would be your human-human interaction. And then next we have social structure or governance. And so here you can see the neighbors kind of in the distance. Where we are is technically county property, so the governance of this property would be the county. But in this direction there's city property, and in this direction there's city property. And then the neighbors straight back are county property as well. And then the final planar, the 4th planar, is stratification of embodied personality. So there we're talking about embodied personality trying to reach enlightenment. So being true to oneself, being true to your real personality, and hopefully reaching enlightenment through that. So thank you.
Okay, so we've looked at the empirical realism, the actual eventness ontology. Now we're going to look at the real. And the real for Bhaskar is the stratified layers and levels of reality. What he calls the open system. So some of the levels come around here, and you can see they go from the highest level, 7th level of non-duality. That's where you reached enlightenment. 6, you got enchantment. You're re-enchanting the earth and the relationships of the actual. Spirituality, you have a reflexivity that happens in spirituality, and you've got a human transformative praxis that's going on in relation of your ecology, spiritual, your enlightenment to the material conditions. Now science, Bhaskar wanted to rescue the dialectic of science from its epistemic fallacies and the ontic crisis of the actual. And so it's right here in this 3rd level of reality where you see dialectical critical realism right here. And he's connecting it to 2 lower levels, the absence the negation, the change that happens at this level, and the lowest level where science does not equal transcendental, any kind of transcendental relationship. So it's a very base level. Now he also has, come around on this side, you can see scales, and think of them as different kinds of fractal, and they run from 7 to 1. Like, you want a very embodied enlightenment at the highest level again. So that's consistent with the level of reality. You want an embodied biological understanding of self. Now the self is a biological system inside of an ecosystem. We'll get to ecosystem. You want to have your storytelling indexical in an ethnomethod sense. So it's got a good correspondence to the state of the world. I mean, we're overpopulated, running out of resources, and we're about to, you know, completely self-destruct the EPA in our governance system. But we have roles in the society, and we have society, national, and global. So that's a scale. So these, we're talking in different scales of understanding here. And then we have norms that are from our idea system that we try to implement in this scale, and in that scale, and that scale, and that scale. So the scales interact too. And right here at the bottom, we have number 7, which is the ecosystem linked to some sort of enchantment possibility. So the different scalabilities actually are fractal in nature. So you combine the levels of reality with the scales of reality, and that gives you Bhaskar's grand ontology. Now here I'm going to demonstrate it quickly. This is a medicine wheel. And here, facing east, we have some stones representing the earth. Oh, there's sparkles. And different medicine wheels, the earth would be differently, but if you see back here the mountains, that's why we're picked out as the earth. Come around here in the medicine wheel, you can step in there so you can stay. We have the water, and now I'm pointing to the water down in the Gulf of Mexico. And we step around, and we got the fire along this equinox line where the sun rises and sets, heats us up during the day, and we got the fire part. Now, got a special heart of care here for, come here. This is Sparkles, and her predecessor was Sparky, was a male Catahoula, and she's a short-haired German pointer. We're glad to have her here. And you keep going around, and you have the air from the north, so you have air. So you have the 4 elements, and you come around in this medicine wheel. We go down into the earth in the center, up into upper world, and to within. And the within is the meditation on your own embodiment of your personality, as Bhaskar talked about it. So we'll hope you join us again for another session on organizational research methods, and we'll put the website right here for you to see. And thank you very much.